Well, as I mentioned earlier, it sounds like we're going to have a calm night weather-wise if you're having to travel for the Thanksgiving holiday. It sounds like Thanksgiving itself is going to be nice too, Robert, you mentioned.
Yeah, that's right. We got to get to Thanksgiving. We can see it on the horizon, but there's fog blocking the view of Thanksgiving, and it's getting thick in some spots out there, folks. I want to turn on the visibility here. You can see they're kind of hit or miss across the region. You saw the Fayetteville camera earlier in the show, and right now they have, a mile visibility as well. Silent Springs 2-mile visibility, but elsewhere, other places not dealing with the fog. So I don't think it's going to be a widespread event tonight, but probably more fog than not out there. And I'll tell you why that's important. You can see our temperatures here, especially northwest Arkansas, flirting with the freezing mark right now, slightly warmer across the river valley, upper 30s, but these temperatures will continue to sag. So where there is fog coupled with below freezing temperatures, you could get some slick spots. And if you're wondering where that fog may form, well, this dew point temperature chart may fill you in, because when the dew point temperature and the air temperature kind of get close to each other by about 4 degrees, that's when you start to get that formation of the fog out there, and we certainly expect it in some areas. We'll run this forecast model through hour by hour. You can see temperatures pretty much, northwest Arkansas in the lower 30s. Wouldn't be surprised if a few cooler locations dip into the upper 20s. River Valley here, you can see temperatures in the mid 30s, and then rebounding quite nicely by the time you may be getting ready to sit down for your Thanksgiving dinner. Temperatures quite pleasant out there in the 60s. And then we're going to talk about the formation of that fog. You can see possibly developing, like we said, across northwest Arkansas out there. So really, it will be a hit or miss night out there with the development of that fog. So your forecast tonight, watch out for that fog. It'll be a chilly night. That fog on some places where it dips below freezing could freeze on surfaces. So if you're headed out for an early morning grocery run tomorrow morning, watch for a few slick spots. Don't be surprised. Rebounding nicely tomorrow between 61 and 66. A very pleasant day, probably the best day out of the next 7 here. 7-day forecast isn't bad. It's just cooling off. We're watching for the chance for a few showers Saturday night and into Sunday. And you can see, look at these temperatures, how quickly they drop off by the early part of next week. Just highs in the mid 40s and lows in the mid 20s. It will definitely feel like late fall out there. About the same thing for the River Valley. A very nice Thanksgiving, lots of sunshine, but slowly stepping down as we go through the weekend. So by the time we get to Sunday, just highs in the lower 50s, kind of a cold, raw day on Sunday with those high temperatures in the 50s, and then into the 40s for many of you heading back to work or school for the beginning of next week. Stay with us after the break. We got sports coming up.